Why hello there YouTube and welcome back to a Who review, and today I am reviewing Doctor Who The War Games. So this is a 1969 serial that stars Patrick Troughton, Wendy Padbury and Frazer Hines, and written by Terence Dicks. This is the final serial from the 60s and the final ever outing of Patrick Troughton's Doctor. Yes, the finale for the Troughton era of Doctor Who. So, what happens in this is the Doctor, Jamie and Zoe find themselves in World War I, 1917, and then they soon discover that they're in a labyrinth of other wars. They find themselves in a Western war zone, they find themselves in a Roman war zone, and they soon find out that this whole operation has been led by some villainous Time Lords called the War Chief and the War Lord, and the Doctor has to send a distress call to Gallifrey but not get caught in the process. But unfortunately he doesn't get away quick enough, and his people, the Time Lords, catch up with him and put him on trial, and then they send his companions back to their time zones, making them forget all except for their first encounter with the Doctor. And the Doctor is exiled to Earth in the 20th century and forced to regenerate. And that's so. Let's get straight to my likes and dislikes. First of all, Patrick Troughton. He was brilliant in this, and for most of it all he did steal the show. And I feel that's what should be done with every Doctor, you know. When it's their final outing, they should at least, you know, take centre stage throughout most of it all and give it their all. One last great show, and that's exactly what Troughton did in this, I feel. I love Patrick Troughton. He's one of my favourite Doctors anyway, so, I loved him in this, and he was brilliant with this. You know, he's like, his Doctor's a practical joker, but he always knew when it was time to get serious, so Patrick Troughton did an outstanding performance in this. Along with Wendy Padbury and Frazer Hines, they did great jobs as the companions, Jamie and Zoe. So, yes, and other characters. There were loads of supporting and secondary characters in this, including one Civil War character called, played by Rudolph Walker, who is probably known nowadays as Patrick Truman off EastEnders. We also got, like, you know, I liked the villains we had in it. I liked the War Chief. There was another Time Lord villain called the War Lord, but he didn't really look as evil. You know, to me the real villain looked like the War Chief. The War Chief and the War Lord. I also liked the Time Lords we got in this. Yes, for the first time ever in the show's history, the War Games is where we go to Gallifrey, or at least we see, you know, the Doctor on Gallifrey, where the Time Lords are put him on trial. And I liked that. I liked that we finally got to go onto the Doctor's home planet for the first time ever in the show. You know, because it was a mystery throughout William Hartnell's run and throughout Patrick Troughton's run, and we got to actually see other Time Lords as well as like a monk or something from Hartnell's era. So I liked that. I just liked the Time Lords. I liked the great final performance Patrick Troughton gave when he was on trial and that and stuff. I also like the story in this, and a lot of the effects they went in this. I mean, yeah, the effects in this serial now are probably just like so, like, let's just say the effects, they were good for its time, but you know, nowadays they won't, you know, kids at primary, you know, like kids with animation software could easily do this. In that, but obviously it was groundbreaking for its time, and that. I also liked the, like I said, I liked the story, I liked the, you know, it was a good serial. Now down to my dislikes. Now this was a long serial, and it was a 10-part story. You know, I mean, I don't know how people kept watching and kept interested in Doctor Who back then, but they did. And I mean, I didn't watch this in 10 weeks. I watched it in 2 days, because on the DVD disc, one episode it has 1 to 5, and the second disc it has 6 to 10, all 25 minutes each. But I feel that this was, you see, the thing is with these kind of serials, I think they're a bit long, and some of the episodes did drag on. I did feel like the first 3 or 4 episodes of this serial dragged on, where the Doctor and Jamie and Zoe were like in World War One, but then it eventually picked up. I mean, there was all this going off. I think when we actually discovered it was the War Games, it was only like 3 or 2 episodes or something. This serial could have easily been cut down to at least 6 parts, if anything. 6 parts at the most, but 10 I feel like is a bit many, and that I don't know. But for me, I do feel that 10 episodes were just like a bit long. But other than that, this is a good story, and that I don't like the way they write Jamie and Zoe out of the show, because when the Doctor has been exiled, and that the companions must return back to their time zones, and they have all their memories of the Doctor's encounters wiped, all except for their first encounter. And yeah, it's just like the Doctor says a goodbye to them, and then that's it. And we see Jamie go back to the Highlanders time zone in the 1400s, and that he resumes battling and that. And Zoe, she goes back to the 21st century, and that's pretty much it. But at least we get closure on them, and they both do make a cameo in the 5 Doctors, the 20th anniversary special. And Frazer Hines does come back in a Colin Baker serial called The 2 Doctors, with Patrick Troughton as well, which I've reviewed before. I mean, this isn't a bad serial. I just feel like there are a bit too many filler episodes, and there are some scenes and content in it that aren't plausible to the plot. But other than that, this is a good story, and Patrick Troughton, I think he went out with a bang. I mean, they were actually planning to end the show for good in 1969 after this serial, but the BBC at the time could not think of anything new, so they renewed Doctor Who for another season, and it was after that one. I mean, I don't like how it kind of ended, where the Doctor was starting to regenerate, and we saw the transition off screen. And that's another thing with that regeneration. I mean, we saw the start of it when he's like head spinning around and he's being dizzy, but yeah, it was an off-screen transition. But we find out what happened in the January of 1970. Even though, this was the end of the 60s Doctor Who era and Patrick Troughton, but little did people know that the show was about to change again. This time it was going to become coloured, and it was going to have an Earthbound story arc and a new Doctor. But we're not talking about that now. I have reviewed that serial though, Spearhead from Space. Let's get to my final thoughts and ratings, because I'm rambling now. So, The War Games was an okay story. I just feel that it didn't need to be 10 episodes long. Patrick Troughton gave a great performance. It was a good story and that. So, with all that being said, I think I'm going to give Doctor Who The War Games, do you know what, this for me gets a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 for Doctor Who The War Games. So that is it for this Who review. What do you think to it? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to share with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and to hit that notification bell. All of my social media links are down below in the description. I have been Davros the Whovian, and yeah, have I said subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell? I have now. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. So until next time, run for your life.